Hello, friends and family. It's Michelle, and I am here with a new recipe. This is a recipe that I've seen on In the Kitchen with Mel. She done it quite some time ago, and it's been one that's been on my back burner to do, and for quite some time. And I woke up today and thought, today is the day I'm gonna make that recipe, and I'm gonna make me a big old meal because it just sounds good. I'm in the mood. It's fall. I love comfort food during the fall weather, so that's what we're gonna have today. So the recipe that I'm gonna be making is called chicken and dumpling casserole, and I'm also going to be making some corn that she made in the same video. She called it, I believe, honey butter skillet corn. And you make it in a skillet on top of the stove. So we're going to do that as well. I've already got my green beans on the stove cooking. I've had them cooking pretty much all afternoon because I love slow cooker green beans. So they are already going. And then we're also going to have some mashed potatoes, but I'm going to go the easy route since I'm making so much food today. And we're going to have some instant mashed potatoes. But, I doctor those up with milk and butter and all that. And they taste pretty much like the real thing once I'm done with them. So we're going to have that. I'm also going to make some brown gravy. And we're going to have some Red Lobster Cheddar Bay biscuits to go on the side. So, like I said, it is going to be a big, big dinner. And I can't wait. And it's just me. But I did invite my brother over, so he's going to come over, and I'm sure he'll probably take some leftovers with him. So, it is what it is. It'll all be eaten, trust me, if it's good. And I'm sure it is because Mama Mel makes some pretty good stuff. So, what you're going to need to make these chicken and dumpling casserole is pretty simple, actually. You don't really need a lot of ingredients. You'll see my 9x13 dish sitting there, and it's already got a half a stick of butter in there. I've got the oven preheating right now at 400 degrees. So when I get done doing the ingredients for y'all, I'm going to stick this in the oven and let that, excuse me, gonna let that butter melt in the bottom of the dish. So again, it's just a half a stick of butter. Then the recipe calls for 3 cups of some chicken of your choice. So I've got 3 cups right here of some shredded chicken, and this was just some chicken breasts that I bought at the store, and I cooked them in the Instant Pot a couple of days ago. And I just season it with like nature seasoning and some pepper, and I cooked it in some chicken broth, and that's basically all I do. And then I shred it, so I'll have some shredded chicken for different meals. And I think it left me with like 3 bags of 3 cups of shredded chicken. So this is one of the bags. So I don't know if I'm going to use all of this or not, because my favorite thing about chicken and dumplings is the dumplings. So I like it to be more dumpling-y, than chickeny. But we'll see how much this covers the bottom of the pan, because that's basically what you do with this. You cover, after you melt the butter, then you cover the bottom of the pan with your chicken. So we're going to use that. Then I have this biscuit dough, I guess. What you call it? I have that here, and I've had this for a long time, ever since I knew I was going to make this recipe. But it's called the Southern Biscuit, and you want to get the Formula L. So this is what she used. and so that's what I'm going to use as well. And she said that this makes really good biscuits as well. So you're going to need a cup of that. Then you're also going to need a can of cream of chicken soup. You're going to need two cups of chicken broth. So I have a can of chicken broth and it's like 14 ounces, so it's 2 ounces shy of 2 cups. So you basically mix the broth and the chicken soup together, and that's what you pour on top. So we'll see how that is. If I need to add a little bit of water maybe to it, I might, but I think that the can will be okay. And then the last thing you're going to need is a cup of milk, and that is for the biscuit dough. And this is basically what's going to be your like dumplings. So, like I said, pretty simple and easy. And then, of course, any like seasonings that you want to put on your chicken and stuff, anything like that. I'm probably going to put some garlic powder and some pepper and some onion powder like she did on hers. But like I said, that's to your preference. And yeah. So I'm going to get off here. I'm going to put this dish in the oven. Let this butter melt, and then I'll come back and show you what's next. Alrighty, guys, we're back, and I just took this out of the oven, so it's a little hot. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna add this chicken into the bottom of the pan. Okay. So I'm going to continue to fill this pan up. And when I'm done, I'll come back and show you what's next. Okay, guys, I'm back, and what I have done now is I have taken this can of cream of chicken and this can of cream of chicken and this can of can of chicken broth, and I put it in this bowl and I mixed it all together, and then basically all I'm going to do is pour that over the big biscuit mixture that I've already poured in there. And when you pour that biscuit mixture, you just want to pour it on top there, but you do not want to mix it. And the same goes for this as well. You're just going to want to pour it on top, but do not mix it. So once I do that, then I place it in the 400-degree preheated oven, and you bake it uncovered for 35 to 45 minutes. So I'm going to pour this on top, and I'll show you what it looks like before I put it in the oven. And then we're going to get it in the oven to going, and then of course you'll see it when it comes out. And of course, you know, you got to see it all plated up. So I'll be back. Alrighty, folks, there it is. It's all ready to be put in the oven. Like I said, you'll put it in the 400-degree preheated oven and bake for 35 to 45 minutes. So I'll show you what it looks like when it comes out. Alright, guys, I'm back, and I'm going to start the sweet honey butter skillet corn. So what you're going to need for that is you're going to need two tablespoons of butter, which I've already got them in my cast iron skillet. And so I don't have those to show, but they're in the skillet. You're going to need a package of some frozen corn. I'm sure you could use canned corn too, but she used frozen corn, so that's what I'm going to use. You're also going to need 2 tablespoons of honey, and then you're going to need a couple of tablespoons of some cream cheese. Now, you can use regular cream cheese, but she used this because she said it's a lot easier to scoop out, plus you don't have to worry about having a leftover block of cream cheese with parts of it gone. And I already had some of this in the refrigerator, so this is what I'm going to use. But that's all you're going to need, and I'm going to come back and show you what to do. Alrighty, folks, I'm back, and I'm going to start the skillet corn. So what I've got is my 2 tablespoons of butter in here, and she said to put it on about a medium heat. You're going to melt that butter. Once that butter melts, then I'm going to add 2 tablespoons of honey to this, and then kind of let that melt real good. And then I will add the corn, and I'll show you what happens next. Okay, I just added the 2 tablespoons of honey. I just kind of eyeballed it. I'm going to let that heat up pretty good, and then I'm going to add the frozen corn. Alrighty, I added the corn, and then I added some salt and pepper for seasoning. And she said to let it cook for about 5 minutes, kind of let that water cook out from the corn being frozen and stuff. And then we're going to add the 2 tablespoons of cream cheese. Alright, I've added the cream cheese, and we're just going to let that melt and then let the water dry out, and then this will be done. Come back and show it to you when it's all done. Okay, guys, I've been letting it cook here on the stove for, I don't know, about 10 minutes or so. But I did turn it down because I didn't want it to burn. She didn't say to turn it down, but it started sizzling pretty good, so I thought, oh, I better turn that down. So I'm just going to let it simmer here on the stove until I think everything else gets done. So, because that should be pretty soon. So, yeah. So I'll come back and I'll show you everything all plated up. Bye-bye. Alrighty, folks, here it is. Just come out of the oven. Actually, it's been sitting here for about 5 minutes or so, because when it came out, it was piping hot. So, just waiting for my brother to arrive. He's on his way. He's bringing dessert, which will be something store-bought because he doesn't cook. And as soon as he gets here, we will be chowing down, and I'll show you my plate. I'll plate it up. Bye-bye. Here it is, all plated up. Ready to go. Yum, yum, yum. Hey, YouTube friends and family. It's Michelle, and I am here with a new recipe. It's not really that big of a recipe. I'm just making some ribeye steaks, but honestly, this is the first time I've ever made ribeye steaks. First time I've really ever made steak like this before, because I'm just not really a steak eating kind of person. But every once in a while I'll get a craving for a thin cut steak. And usually ribeyes are thick, but I like them thin. And I happened to see these, I think it was at my IGA. And they were on sale. They weren't too bad, and especially since they were thin. So I thought I would give it a shot. I'm hoping I don't burn them up because they're so thin. Because even though I did catch them on sale, they're still a little pricey, you know. But yeah, so I'm gonna give a shot at it, see how I do. You know, I figure if I don't like it, my dogs will eat good for the next couple of days. So they will not let it go to waste, that's for sure. But I would definitely rather be eating this than feeding it to my dogs. So, you know, call me selfish or whatever, but I'll share, you know. So anyway, I've got my 2 ribeyes here. I've let them sit out because they say to let them get to room temperature, so that's what I've done. And then what I'm going to need is, this is some olive oil, which is this right here. And I poured it in this because I actually am making some baked potatoes, and I've already put those in the oven. And I like to take my baked potatoes and coat them with olive oil, and then I sprinkle some Hidden Valley Ranch seasoning on them and some salt and pepper, and then I just lay them on a piece of foil in the oven. So this is the leftover olive oil from that, so I'm just going to use that, and basically I'm just going to brush it on lightly on both sides of these steaks. And then I'm also going to season it with some salt and pepper, and a lot of people say rosemary. Now, I'm not a real big fan of rosemary, but it's alright, so I'm just going to lightly use it, not heavy. I'm not going to go heavy on it. And then we're also going to need some butter and some garlic. And basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to put this on the stove. I've already got a pan on the stove with a little bit of cooking oil in it to get it hot. And once it gets hot, then I'm going to throw these after I've, like I said, basted them with the olive oil and a little bit of the rosemary and the salt and pepper. I'm going to throw them in the pan, and I'm going to let them like sear on both sides for a few minutes. And then I'm going to, once they've seared, I'm going to take them out of the pan and let them rest for a minute or two. And then I'm going to put just some butter in there and a little bit of minced garlic. And I'm going to let the butter melt and stuff. And I'm going to put them back in the pan. And I'm going to let them cook slowly in that butter and stuff. So I'll take you along for the ride, and we'll see how these turn out. Cross your fingers that they're good, because it sure does sound good. So I'll be back. Alright guys, I just threw them in there, and you can hear them sizzling. I'm going to cook a couple of minutes on each side, and like I said, then I'll take them out, then I'll melt the butter and the garlic and throw them back in there and let them cook on slow for a few minutes. So we'll be back. Alright guys, we got the butter and the garlic melting there. There's our steaks. So once that butter melts, and we'll stick the steaks back on. Alrighty guys, there they are cooking. Wish me luck. It smells good. So we'll see. I'll bring you back and show it to you once I get it all plated up. Alrighty guys, here it is all plated up. Got my loaded baked potato with salt, pepper, butter, and sour cream. Got my steak, and I took a bite of it, and it's delicious. And I have a little bit of Country Bob steak sauce there to dip my steak in. And yeah, dogs are going to have to settle for sharing, because they ain't getting these steaks all to themselves. So yeah, that's my take on how to make a ribeye. Not too bad. I'll be back with more recipes and grocery hauls. See you later. Right now, it's time to go eat. Bye-bye. Hey, YouTube friends and family. It's Michelle, and I'm here with another recipe. Today we're going to do some fried salmon patties on the stovetop. You can also do these in your air fryer if you'd like. But I am going to do them on the stovetop. Now, I'm taking a couple of recipes and kind of mixing them together. I'm using Mandy in the Making's recipe that she did a couple of weeks ago, maybe a month or so ago. She did some air fryer recipes, and one of them was salmon patty. So I'm going to take that recipe, and I'm also going to take my mom's recipe and kind of put them together and make my own little recipe. Now, when I was a kid growing up, I don't know, probably about 6 or 7 years old. I wasn't too old at all. There was a place nearby where my mom worked that was like a cafeteria style restaurant, and it was really good. And I'm not one to usually like that type of food. But anyway, it was a very good place to eat. A lot of elderly people ate there, because I think they had like specials for the elderly and stuff. It's no longer there. But anyway, my mom would go there a lot of times for lunch. And sometimes me and my dad would meet her there. And back then, my mom was a very picky eater. So she's not anymore, but back then she was. And if she found something she liked, chances are it was really good. So, of course, she found salmon patties. at this restaurant. And she absolutely loved them. And she kept telling me and my dad about them and stuff. So one time that we went there to eat with her, I got them. Now, I can't remember if my dad got them and liked them or didn't like them or nothing. I don't remember. It seems like he didn't, because after we quit eating there and she started making them on her own, I don't remember my dad eating them. So, but I could be wrong. But anyway, long story short, which probably won't be short anyway, is that I ended up liking them. And then my mom ended up finding a recipe through probably some family or something, because back then there was no Google, there was no internet, there was nothing like that. So she must have found a recipe through family or something and figured out how to make them at home, and she started making them at home. And somewhere along the line, I ended up not liking them. I don't know if it was that I didn't like my mom's and I liked the restaurants better, or if I did like my mom's and ended up just, as I got older, got pickier and decided I didn't like them. I don't remember, because like I said, I was probably like 5 or 6 years old back then. So anyway, I haven't ate salmon patties since I was little. And I've seen lots of recipes for them and stuff, different ways. I mean, I've seen them using cheese and all kinds of different ingredients. And I'm like, I think I'm going to try those again and see if I like them. Because I am definitely not a picky eater like I used to be. And my taste buds have definitely changed. And there are a lot of things that I didn't think I would ever eat that I eat now. So anyway, for the last couple of years, I've been thinking I'm going to make these. Well, then I seen Randy's video, and I seen how much they enjoyed theirs, and I was like, you know what? I'm going to bite the bullet, and I'm going to make them. So I asked my mom how she made hers. My mom's recipe was very simple. All she does is she takes a can of salmon, 1 egg, and Cracker Meal. And that's it. And then she fries them in some oil on the stove. Easy enough, I'm sure she adds salt and pepper to them. But that would be the only seasonings, too. So then I seen Manny in the Makings video, and hers had quite a few different ingredients. So I'm going to add some of her ingredients to hers. So I'm going to show you how I'm going to do mine. So first of all, like I said, you're going to need a can of salmon. You're going to want to drain it, and you're going to want to take the bones out of it. I've never worked with salmon before, and when Mandy did her video, she had never worked with canned salmon either, and she wasn't aware that there were bones in there. I knew there were bones in there because I remember my mom picking them out. So, but they're flexible. They're they're kind of rubbery or whatever. And actually, if you miss one or two or whatever and you accidentally eat them, that's fine. You can eat them. So, anyway, you're going to want to get a can of salmon, and like I said, you're going to want to drain it, and you're going to want to take the bones out. Then you're going to need an egg, and both of the recipes called for an egg. And then I'll show you where the one difference was with my mom's recipe and Mandy's. My mom's recipe, like I said, she uses Cracker Meal, which is what I'm going to use. Mandy in the Making used panko breadcrumbs. So I think either way would be good. You're just using it for like a binding agent, for all the stuff and to fry it up. So anyway, hold on just a moment. I'm going to go see what she is barking at. Okay. I'm so sorry about that. Hopefully she will be quiet. I went in there to look and I didn't see anything outside. I got on to her and she quit barking. So hopefully she will quit. We don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. So anyway, like I said, I'm going to use the Cracker Meal. Me in the Making used 1/4 cup of panko. So I'm going to measure out 1/4 cup of Cracker Meal, and if I need more, then I'll just add more. Then, the rest of these ingredients are all ingredients that Mandy in the making used for hers. So, for her seasoning, she used a fourth a teaspoon of garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper. And then she used, I think, half a teaspoon of dill. I don't have dill, so I asked Siri what I could use in replacement of dill, and she said parsley, which Mandy, she actually added parsley to hers, to her original recipe that she was following. So I'm just gonna sprinkle in some parsley. How much, I don't know. Like I said, I'm just gonna sprinkle in a little bit of it. So that is the seasonings I'm using. And of course, like I said, you're gonna want the egg, the salmon. Then of course you can either use the panko or the cracker meal, and I'm using the cracker meal. And then the other two things that I'm using that Mandy made, or that Mandy used, is she used what was it? A teaspoon. Or, I'm sorry, a tablespoon. A tablespoon of lemon juice. Now, she used real lemons, and I don't have any lemons, so we're just going to go with what we got. Of course, the fresh lemon juice will taste better, but we're just going to go with what we got. So if you got this kind, that'll be fine. And then she also used 3 tablespoons of mayo, which is something that my mom did not use. So, I am going to get off here. I'm going to open up this can of salmon, drain it, take out the bones, and then I am going to mix all of these ingredients together. And then I'm going to put some oil in a pan, heat it up, and once it gets hot, then we'll form these into patties. We'll put them in the pan and let them fry until they're done. So I'll be back after I go through this can of salmon and take you along for the ride. Okay, we're back, and I deboned everything, and like I said, I drained it, and a lot of the bones, they just kind of like disintegrated. And while you're doing all that, you're gonna want to like break it apart and stuff. And there were some pieces of like the skin, which are like a black color, and you'll want to take those out too. But anyway, that's what it looks like. And just to give you like, so you know like what kind of bowl size I'm working with. This is a large size cereal bowl, so it's not a big mixing bowl or anything. Because I only used that one can. And that's all that Mandy used as well, and I think she made 4 pretty good sized patties. So that just gives you kind of an estimate on how much you're going to get out of this. So, what I'm going to do first is I'm going to add my egg. Gonna kind of mix that. Okay. Good enough. Alright, then the next thing we're going to add is the mayo. So I just used 3 teaspoons, of that, or I'm sorry, 3 tablespoons, not teaspoons. And I've already measured that out into a little container. So we're just going to get that out. We'll mix that real good. So, put that in there. Waste not, want not. Gotta be that way these days. Whoops. So, I have got to get a new tripod. I hate this tripod. I've had it for months and I always forget until I go to film a cooking video. Okay, so we've got the mayonnaise. Let's see, what are we gonna do next? Next thing I guess we'll do is the seasonings, and I've already done them all together. Again, that was 1/4 teaspoon of salt, pepper, onion powder, and garlic powder. And then she used 1/2 teaspoon of dill. Like I said, I didn't have that, so I used just about 1/4 teaspoon of parsley. So we'll see how that all works. Put that in there. Oh, goodness. I knew that was going to happen. Knew it. Okay. Here we go. Sorry, folks. Let's see. Oh. We'll get through it. Okay. And then the next thing we're going to add is the tablespoon of lemon juice. And like I said, she used fresh squeezed lemon juice. I'm just using the kind in the little bottle. That is perfectly fine. Use what you got. And again, we will mix that real good. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to use, what did I do with them? Oh, here they are. We're going to use the 1/4 cup of cracker meal. And like I said, she used panko crumbs, breadcrumbs. So, again, you use what you have. I'm just using the cracker meal because that's what my mom used to use. So, like I said, I'm kind of mixing them. And we'll use 1/4 cup. Kind of mixing both recipes. And so I am going to go mix this real well, and then I'll come back and show you how I form the patties and get ready to put them on the oven, or put them on the stovetop in the pan. I'm going to get the oil to heat up. So we'll be back. Here they are in the skillet, frying up. I'm going to fry them for about 3 or 4 minutes, probably on each side. Got some green beans going over there, and over there is some stovetop stuffing. That's what's going to be for dinner. I'll come back and show you these as I flip them. Okay, guys, here it is all plated up. Delicious, let me tell you. I tried a bite of the other one, and I have some tartar sauce in my little container there, and I dipped it in the tartar sauce. So good. So, yeah, I definitely highly suggest trying these out. I will definitely make these more often. Um, it's not something that I will make a lot because it's something that I think I have to have the craving for. But they are so good. And I definitely suggest doing your dishes right afterwards. Otherwise, your house is going to smell like salmon. So, yeah. So, yeah, definitely 2 thumbs up for me on this one. And like I said, it will be a repeat dinner. So, thanks for watching. Bye bye.